Hey everyone.
Hopefully the space doesn't crash this time or whatever, or everybody stays silent.
Yeah, I think it works. Can anyone hear me?
Yes,
Good.
we can hear you.
Good.
Perfect. I am so remarkably angry right now that didn't work. I think in the future going forward, we're just going to put out a weekly tweet and then we host the space just from scratch. I'm tired of scheduling crashing. It really makes me angry. It's the second time it happened now, and I really don't give a shit anymore. I think the same also happens for everyone else because but I've noticed when Marion the file spaces go live, sometimes also you cannot join because it's unavailable. So I think basically the interface doesn't seem to work. So that's why I think we should basically be doing such a weekly thing, and then just, I don't know, yeah, just put it out there as soon as it begins to start. Like we do a back channel first, like we did before, you know, a little bit of briefing, then we go into main space. Or we can even do the briefing within the space itself. But we'll see. We adapt. And then eventually the problem will adapt
Because
fast.
you were in another space, maybe because you were in another space, did you completely turned or removed your app itself and then go back, or you just transferred?
No, I just completely left out of it, and then I
Did you stay
began to
all the
actually start the
space?
space because I already had it pre-scheduled. Yeah,
JP's
I
here.
did.
Can we bring him up?
I
And
couldn't
then
hear
do you
any
want to make
audio
me
from it,
co?
or the 2
Oh,
minute mark.
sorry.
My bad, mate.
No, it's all right. I'm just trying to do some housekeeping items, guys. First of all, everybody, please retweet the space since the first one crashed. Go ahead and get this in your hallway so everybody knows where to relocate to. And if we want to bring up Nikki and GP and get you can either co-host somebody to help you out while you're walking. I hear you out and about, Adrian. So if you want to get some of that stuff done. But yeah, I'm super excited. And I look forward to the kickoff to a long journey of learning. And I love the scientific and fact-based aspect of this that Adrian put as kind of like a requirement. I think that's important. And yeah, so that's all that I wanted to offer for now. Over to you, Adrian.
Yeah, so now we're going to invite a few co-hosts. I will get GP confirmed so you can actually add as a speaker. There we go. So you can actually talk. I've already spoken about him addressing the AI part of this conversation a lot more than I will because he's more experienced in this, and I'd actually like people to ask him questions directly. Also attached to the tweet itself, or actually pinned in my profile really, there's a tweet where you can see the ground rules for the spaces that I always host to make sure to read through all that before you come on and, you speak so that, everyone has an equal chance for everything. And, you could go on the 2-minute format so everyone can get everything in, everything works perfectly, everything is free, and yeah, groovy.
Hi, GP. How are you?
Hey, Maze. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm super stoked that we're going to be focusing on AI. And then when he told me earlier today that you were the ethics person, I was like, you couldn't have picked a better person. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of great discussions ahead. But today, specifically, to have GP kind of be a part of the AI discussion, it was a great idea.
Oh, thanks very much. It's 2 a.m. here right now, so we'll see how my stamina holds up to the barrage of what I am sure are going to be quite difficult questions. But who knows?
Well, I think that for the most part, well, I don't know how many AI experts are in here. I think it's kind of more of the just everyday questions, but kind of zooming in. Well, for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but I think a lot of the you know, just well, actually, I do have some deeper questions, but what areas of AI do you cover, GP? Is it just the ethics and how does that work? And if you can give everyone maybe like a little backdrop of your experience and stuff, that'd be great.
Sure. Okay. So my primary degree is in computer science from Trinity College in Dublin, and I have a postgraduate from Said Business School, University of Oxford, in artificial intelligence, and a postgrad in criminology from Dublin Business School, focusing on counterterrorism, drug policy, um, and the criminal justice system. So I've owned a private military security company for 27 years. So we were a consumer of secure comms and also a user of social media for purposes of profiling. We're not a traditional PMSC like Blue Hackle or Triple Canopy or Aegis Defence or Edinburgh Group or Academy Form or Blackwater. We repatriate assets, human or physical, or we protect installations that find themselves in hostile or remote areas. In parallel with that, I'm an investor in startups. Prior to being self-employed, I worked in the banking sector as a systems programmer in IBM mainframes, assembly programming, Rex programming, COBOL, JCL, and then distributed systems in the early days, AS400s and tandems. Tandems were the first system to bring out failover, so that for ATMs in particular, ATM networks in particular, you had 5 nines availability. Thereafter, I was involved with robotics, especially when DASD, direct access storage devices, were so expensive. It was important to be able to migrate data that was not used regularly onto secondary and tertiary platforms. Typically, those secondary platforms would be reels or loadable tape decks. But we, partnered with Storage Tech and IBM and Grau and a number of others, ultimately selected under an early support program, as they call it, the IBM or the Storage Tech solution for robotics for tape loading. If you can imagine, it was a simple central bar with a robotic arm and barcode recognition based on computer vision to select the correct tape, which had been catalogued within the IBM mainframe cataloging system, so that if a programmer was looking to do some testing on some data that needed to be retrieved from archival, or if a customer had a query whose data had been archived, that it was not real time, but it was very short time to retrieval for real time. So the acquisition of data would have been seconds rather than minutes, where the request would have come through a green screen console in the operations department of the mainframe support to load a tape. So that was that. We did early support programs for ESCON, fiber optic connections between data centers. The regulators actually didn't realize that we could also make phone calls over those fiber lines, so they were pretty pissed about that when they found out about that, as were the telco companies. After that, I moved to work with IBM Global Services and then HP Enterprise Services, and I worked for a boutique consultancy whose main objective was to reduce waste in large organizations using the studies of Fernando Flores. Fernando Flores was the Minister for Justice in the agrarian anarchic government of Chile in 1976. Allende government, which was overthrown by Pinochet and the CIA. There's an iconic picture of a man outside the Parliament buildings waving a white flag as a fighter jet was dropping bombs in the Parliament. That was Fernando Flores surrendering to the forces of Pinochet. He spent 3 years in a concentration camp, and Amnesty International got him released. He went to Carnegie Mellon and did a PhD on the biological roots of human thought, which is the theory of the Speech Act, which means that all of our vocabulary really only surrounds a couple of hundred actual speech acts, such as negotiate, renegotiate, request, deny, true or false, and so on. And through that understanding of speech acts, you can reduce the bias in conversations where the words coming out of my mouth and the words entering your ears can often be conflated and cause difficulties, say, in program management. So we did that for Cemex, Asea Brown Bovary Turbine Manufacturing Division, and Torfunk in Frankfurt, the 3 banks in Mexico, Bancomer, Bital, and Banamex. Didn't take a fee. We took a cut of the bottom line savings. So in ABB, they were being, like typical Germans, over-engineering their systems and being beaten by the Chinese in terms of their turbine manufacturing division for large-scale hydroelectric dams. So it was 120 million worth of waste removed in year one. So that was a big win for that. So after that, I became self-employed and have been since. My area of interest in AI is not just ethics. I mean, I'm heavily invested in the whole concept of training, the purity of training data, the purity of ethically aligned design for autonomous and intelligent systems, not to repeat the mistakes of 15 years of egregiously unregulated Web 2 and the collusion of government and intelligence agencies to erode freedoms and dignities within Western democracies and to facilitate the regime change in nations that did not suit their capitalist agenda. So it's not just an ethical matter for me. AI, its intersection with blockchain and Web3, and the sovereignty of the individual, and by extension, the sovereignty of the state, and the removal of the abuse of flawed fiscal and monetary policy, and global dominance of a particular type of currency, which delivers us hyperinflation and large-scale civil unrest in more extreme manners and at greater frequencies, i.e. more depressions, more recessions, closer together and for longer periods, because our system is broken. Remember, it's only a 70-year-old system. The pension, the idea of politicians being saviors after World War II, offering parachutes for people in their old age in the form of retirement plans, and offering a stable financial system soon wore off. And after that, they realized they could only hold on to their power through the protection of people from perceived nightmares and perceived fears. And that is based on the Neo-Straussian school of thought, which developed in parallel with Saeed Quds, Al-Qaeda, and Islamist ideology. So it is cross-functional. This ethics matter within AI is not just a matter that sits on its own on top of AI. It is a matter of the inexact social sciences, the codification of whether we know ourselves and are prepared for this, whether our cognitive ability is in line with the rapidly developing field, whether the systems and methods by which these AI systems will be deployed will be good or bad for our societies and for our children, whether geopolitics will turn them into dual use, and if so, what will the removal of them from us cause in terms of societal damage, and of particular concern, the indoctrination of children through a particular exposure to these technologies from an early age, and the problems of complex truth, relativism, and absolute truth, and how we have not been able to, in any way, shape, or form, understand our own cognitive processes in the real world, let alone confuse that by adding a whole bunch of other alternative, whether they be augmented or virtual realities on top of that, and whether our brains and the overload of information is something that we can deal with. So it is not just AI ethics, it involves the humanities, the classics, history, economics, the inexact social sciences of psychology and psychiatry, and the study of the human brain, the human psyche, and existential works such as the thinking of Carl Jung and others, and the archetypal roles that people play within a society, and the importance of the sense of purpose for humanity, and the ability for humanity to believe that there is a higher power, whether that's a belief in religion or a belief in spirituality or just a belief in the divineness of nature. And to finish up, I'll say that David Bowie in 2001 said that in the early 1900s, Nietzsche declared that God was dead and that man had killed him. But as God, all that man could seem to do was create disaster, which left the horrific proposition of how was man going to fill the void that the absence of God had left within him. So I think we are at a very important point in theological terms and in terms of our perception of our own place in the universe as well, with respect to the development of these technologies. And we've invented it, just like you cannot undo what is done. And it seems, regardless of far-reaching and far
Just like I told people, I wake up with a passion. I'm very excited. If I don't speak to, like, in the beginning, I was like, okay, my goal was like, I need to go in the streets and talk to 15 people. And now it's like, oh my gosh, if I don't talk to like about 2,000 people a day, I'm not happy, so that's why we're doing what we're doing. And my goal and my job has been for the past 3 years is creating networks and teaching people. So Dr. Paul Alexander and his wife, and Dr. Peter Bregan and his wife, they like call me kind of like the King's Master, because I kind of grab incredible people, and I like build them a network and I help them around. Please help me right now. Help Dr. Kirk Moore. He's a hero. We're putting together an event for him at the University of Utah, Kami, Utah, by the way, at that university, May 20th, which will be Doctors for Dr. Moore. So you can see the lineup if you go to medicalcensorship.org. But it's been kind of hell. We pissed off some grifters, and they created a 70-page report against me and against a lot of other people. So you're always going to be demonized. There's always going to be people, but somebody came harassing me in one of my spaces, and little did I know that God works in mysterious ways. There was like a law firm listening, and they offered to do all the work for free. So we are serving about 140 minions that were just going around repeating whatever the report from CHD that got published against me was about. So again, why do I care what Democrats think, right? So anyways, that's what my story is. So I'm still here kicking, fighting. So I decided to come out public. I said, well, they can't be punching me in the dark. The ghost report was like a ghost for a while. But nobody can. A lot of people that are doing things for limelight, they can't resist. So we just kind of baited them into coming out, and they did come out public last month. And so we, circulated the report, and let's see who's dumb enough to fall for lies and slander. And then that's it. We just expose all these people that were just in ill intentions. This is why I was joking with Adrian. Don't be surprised that people are gonna be like, don't go into that space. People are feds, blah blah blah. Like, people are so paranoid, but at the end of the day, if you really believe in God or faith or whatever, just pray that you'll be okay. And so help us fight, or just stay out of the way. So in my spaces, I'm pretty mean. I tell people, don't get your toes in my way, because I'll run them over. I'll throw a chancla, and you see me yell at a couple of liberals when I go into like Mario space. I don't have patience and tolerance for that. So there you go. Rant's over. Oh, and shout out to Haya down there. She's also been accused of being Mossad and whatnot. And luckily that she's, Jewish and I'm Mexican, or else they would have thought, that we're some kind of conspiracy thing. So anyways, it's been fun. It's been great. I've met a lot of wonderful people that we've locked arms, and we're just going to keep moving forward, keep fighting. Screw the grifters, screw the liars, screw all those people. We have a mission, and that is to help each other, save humanity. And that's what it is. So thank you, Adrian, not Elon. So I appreciate you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. I mean, it's honestly an honor for everyone here for me to have everyone here. I did not imagine that this would be possible at the beginning of last month. Like, this idea just started out of nowhere when I noticed with people like Gail, who's also known as Miss Million. She basically introduced me to this whole concept, really, and then everything's just started to grow from there. And then I just thought to myself, you know what? I looked through these lists, right? I have a list on, various scientists that I follow, and I find it very inspirational and very cool. These are nutritionists, right? Now, I actually got into this whole thing because of nutrition, really, and I realized what else was, wrong with the world because of nutrition, basically, right? That was basically the eye-opener for me, especially because when I was, I think it was about a year ago, I had a really bad acne problem, and then I decided to get into keto diet, right? And then I started research on this, because I've always been researching on this. Actually, I researched into AI, I think about 10 years ago, a little bit, and then basically I took it further from that. I used to debate on it on Discord, and nobody cared. I said, this is going to become a real thing. It's going to define every moment of your life. They didn't believe me, and now here we are. So, yeah, so that's why I know so much about AI and why I think it's so relevant. And so basically, because of nutrition, I got into all of this. I got into more of a scientific, I got more into science, really, in general, especially when it comes to biology. I absolutely love it. I think biology is one of the most fascinating things on the planet. It's a beautiful thing. The more you understand about your body, the more you'll fall in love with it. And the more, I think, people will even understand that your body is not just one thing. It's not just you in a sense. There are other things within you that are alive as well. Like I think half of you is almost made of bacteria. It's beautiful. And you have all the little guys within you, and it's basically like a cooperative instance, and you're always in harmony, which is something that hardly exists out there in the world, because usually biology revolves around trying to beat the bigger thing. So yeah, this whole panel came together here because of networking a little bit and such, and basically with the drive to make sure that scientists get to interact with people, because quite a lot of the time scientists are just taking it to interviews, and then weird questions that are skewed against their favor are just asked, and the real people never get to ask the questions. And so basically the idea behind this is to take a completely independent stance, to bring people in, to bring scientists in, and then to have basically the people be the interviewers, and thereby allowing for a diversity of opinion as well as a deeper understanding. On top of that, if you have anything that you are, if you have any claims of any kind, you put them in the citation thread that is mentioned in the tweet below, and then we can basically research this afterwards, because oftentimes we will tell you to go do your own research, which is very important, and instead of just sending you out there into the dark, I've provided a citation thread, so you can actually put all your information there and can even read the information. Each week there will be a new thread with more information, but all those threads are kept and are archived, so you can always access them at any time and basically do your own research with a little bit of guidance. I want you to go forth from this and be able to do more things and be able to just learn. So this is something we do weekly. And we always have these types of specialists in here, and we hope to grow this beyond this, because I'd really like to continue this because it's important. And so let's hope things will go well. And also read the pinned tweet in my profile, so that you understand the rules of the space. Keep your questions and introductions to 2 minutes if possible, and we will try to give you an answer and explanation to the answer within 2 minutes as well, so that everyone gets a chance to speak, so you can interact with everyone else. So the power is with you, the people. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you want to go to some hands, and then about 9:30, I'm gonna switch co-hosts with Nikki, and also just I know a lot of you guys are familiar with all the I call them master space hosts up here. So thank you all for coming, and we're gonna be rotating. You'll see us co-hosting all over the place. Sometimes things are gonna be scheduled. We're gonna be overlapping things. So we just really are very grateful to everybody who tunes in every single time. I really, oh my gosh, let me tell you something. I must love Maze, because I've actually gone 2 nights before where I was up all night till 9 in the morning, dozing on and off with the conspiracy theories. She has this really great conspiracy, and then she takes you through this levels. So you have the snorkeling level if you just barely getting your feet wet, and then it just kind of goes up like that. And then, of course, Nikki, I feel like I rescued her from Ian Copeland once before. So I feel like I've done my part. So yeah, definitely. And then Haya down there, stealth virology. And I sometimes will be on the phone for 6 hours while we have multiple computers going, doing some deep dives and research on where the money is going, how the pandemic got put together, who are all the, people in the money, the ties, the Eco Health Alliance, the way that this organization has evolved, and why these people are after something so simple and beautiful like it is our human nature. So that's what I really want to focus on. So what do you want to do? You want to go to the hands now, or do we have more people to introduce?
So really quick, I want to say with Maze's space too, we get into the specific topics as well. So does Gail. So, it's a little bit different. But let's say what you just said when you were talking about digging into foundation. So, Maze might have a thing where it's let's dig through foundations and go through the ties, or let's dig through 15-minute cities. So, it's really cool how we have the dynamics with health, the things that make you think that, people aren't always talking about. That's kind of how I got in with this, and just meeting people and bringing them together, and then see that magic sort of just happen. So, I love seeing this kind of stuff happen. And yeah, we just cycle through. I might actually, because I'm going to be co-host, if you want another spot to bring people in and talk, I don't need to be up here right now. I can move down to listeners, so you can bring other people up for now. So why don't we do that? I'll say, bye for now. I'll be back a little bit. And yeah, if that's cool with you.
Well, actually,
Yeah,
take my
100%.
spot because I have to put my son to bed, and it's going to take me about like 20,
Oh,
25
sweet.
minutes if I'm
Oh,
lucky. If I'm lucky, you know what I mean. I have to chase him around, and yeah, it's one of those things. But I will be listening and kind of halfway active. But if Nikki, you want to take the co-host spot for now, I can come.
Well,
I
we
can
can
just
do tradesies. So, like, if you want me to do this now, like, I could take this shift. Then when you come back, we'll just
okay.
rotate around.
We'll
All
just
right,
do what we
perfect.
do
Let's do
all the
that.
time. And sometimes we're just going to have to be hopping on spaces because, there's times that like some emergency things happen. Like, let's say right now we were able to crack Pfizer or like Moderna. So we have a nickname for Moderna. So we'll call him like Mickey D's or something. And then like there's some breaking news and it's like, sorry, I got to break out and go with like my people and do some stuff. So, we'll figure things out. I think, the good idea was that at least we'll come up with like the way that we're going to structure the topics and the scheduling. That was probably the most important one. Today everything worked out. I mean I did get away with hosting a 5-hour space with preparing everything up to the point that James O'Keefe was able to do his space, and that was incredible. So it worked out. Sometimes we do have to have random very big deal people that like they just want to do a space real quick, so we'll shift around, so we'll figure things out as we go.
yeah,
I was going
exactly.
to tell. Sorry.
Also, I think I have to make a declaration as well. So I think quite a lot of you will notice that my voice sounds remarkably similar to Elon Musk. And just this morning, I had a bit of a meltdown situation with a bunch of people accusing me of basically being an impersonator. Now, let me get something clear. I am not Elon Musk. I may sound like him. I may talk like him. I may have similar traits due to my condition, which is, Asperger's, obviously, which I'm pretty sure we can give an explanation on later. But yeah, that's the deal. I am not Elon. Like, please stop messaging me. Please stop calling me a liar. Please stop calling me a damn grifter. This is not what's going on. Also, that was being overused, especially in this context. And basically, I'm here to bring people together. And if you haven't noticed that I'm not Elon Musk, well, I'm sorry. That's just I don't know. So yeah, please stop.
No, that's a whole conspiracy now that we have to dive in. I actually
Yeah.
had someone DM me that they had someone like doing the voice thing, and they could swear that you are. And so I said, okay, that's good. Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
So we do have the conspiracy theory going on now.
Yeah, I never
Thank
thought I
you.
was going to be a conspiracy theory itself as a person, or like a meme. I started a few memes in my time. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but this is one of the first really big impact ones that are on the media really here. Because I mean, people just had a little bit of meltdown of that, and it started with a funny nickname, basically calling me Space Daddy, which was started by Gail, which was really funny. And even I talked to my wife about it, and she started calling me that too, basically as a tease. It's funny. It's just great. So I actually kind of enjoy this. I actually find it's funny, but just for the record here, and since we're on the record, I have to personally declare this because otherwise
He's
people are going
not
to
an
take things out of
impersonator.
context.
Correct.
Yes, I'm not an impersonator, and this is not a ploy to get more numbers. This is basically simply for the intent of this being a non-profit passion project, really, to get people together, to get people to talk. And yeah, so on that note, do follow me because we're going to host these types of spaces weekly. I'll also be in other spaces, so you can basically just follow me around, really, because everyone here who hosts in these spaces and speaks in these spaces has their own thing going on, and you may agree more with that and want to listen to more of that. So basically, just join them as well. These people are absolutely amazing. So yeah, follow me, turn the notification bell on, and also follow some of the hosts and do the same so we can always be updated whenever they host a space. Join in there and ask questions and do similar as we do here today. So with that, we shall go to the people and answer questions.
Oh, don't forget to send Nikki the co-hosting thing. I know it's kind of
Oh yes,
tedious.
definitely.
She's really bad at accepting it as well, so just heads up. You got to tell her. And she doesn't check her DMs. Throw her
I'm
dirty
paying
laundry.
attention. I was taking a shower. Sorry.
I love her.
Oh fuck! I can't do that now. All right, let's see if it works. You know how it stays open all the time with this mic. Oh,
You're there now. So you gotta like punch it, like punch the little mic button until it be quiet.
okay, it's good.
Like mine, it just opens back up. I gotta.
Fascinating.
All right, so I see some hand. Are we gonna go to some hands? Because they just get more and more. I'd like to go because we haven't touched on about the Carol. Like she's awesome too. So why don't we hit her first and then kind of cycle back through if that works?
Thank you. Very interesting listening to everyone's background and experience. So thank you for that. And Adrian, thank you for inviting me to be on the panel this evening. Yeah, I'm Apothecary, and I've been a registered nurse since 1981. The first 23 years of my career was spent indoctrinated in the biopharmaceutical medical industrial cartel. And then something happened that threatened my health. I developed a terminal illness. And in looking at the treatment options for myself, I realized over the course of 2 years, which by the way, was able to get myself into remission. But over the course of the next 2 years, I was, I struggled with guilt and remorse and pain and shame over the previous 20 years of all of the ways that I had completely missed it and was probably doing more harm than good. So I did a hard turn and began deep diving and delving and getting certified in various forms of natural health practices. And some of those came from Eastern health philosophies, some of them from Caribbean, South American, Native American, some of them from newer health philosophies coming out of Europe that, just for the past couple or 300 years. So I've continue working as a registered nurse, but I've been able to find a niche in there where I can do so with clear conscience that I'm actually helping people. And I do also have a consulting business where I do consult with people who would like to get more involved in taking control of their health in more natural ways. In this, so I'm just going to fast forward real quick to the spring of 2021. We had just had the vaccines roll out. We had just had an election that was controversial. And we had just had the J6 event. And that's when Spaces opened, was that spring. And myself, Alpha Warrior, and a couple other people began hosting Spaces every single night. I kind of stayed really focused on the health aspects with helping people with preventing COVID, early treatment options, directing them to where they could go to doctors who would prescribe what they needed, pointing them to protocols, answering questions. At that point, people did not even know what vitamin D was. They were confused about, like, what is quercetin? No one had heard of quercetin. Wanting to know why this particular combination of protocol. I would hear comments like, well, if I get that vaccine and anything happens, I'm going to sue the pharmaceutical company, which of course I had to educate that, since 1986, no. So, and of course under the EUA. So there was just a lot going on during that time period. And I was still working at that point. The agency I was working for furloughed all the part-time and PRN staff. So that threw me into working 12, 14, 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I got my, I did start getting some breaks in there on the weekends, and that was refreshing. There were many times when I was up in Spaces all night because we also had people coming in from all over the world. Australia, they sleep while we're awake. Europe, they have different hours. So they were coming in late at night, and I just would sometimes go all night long, slam down some coffee if it was a light day the next day on my caseload, and I would just go see my patients and come home and maybe take a nap before we open another space again. And eventually I began doing Spaces, I guess about 18 months ago, 17 months ago maybe, opening Spaces on Sunday mornings just to do teaching about natural health. And those Spaces, I've missed two. The first one was just this past Christmas Day. And then the second one was this past Sunday because I was taking some bereavement time. I just lost my brother. He died suddenly. So that's kind of my story, my history. We were up in the Spaces speaking freely. Now, we were getting blocked and banned and all kinds of bad things done with our tweets and our retweets. But in Spaces, we were free to speak openly. And I did get banned a few times, by the way, that big purge when Donald Trump lost his account. Yeah, mine went too. And then once since then. But we spoke freely. And I fully expected that I was going to get banned for something in spaces, and it never happened. It was always over a tweet. So we have been here, we have been fighting, and I welcome everyone who is kind of new to spaces. I know some of you jumped in recently in the past few months. When we started with spaces, it was actually Jack Dorsey still on Twitter. And so we've just been going, and now we've got a lot more people in, and it's really great. It's helped me to be able to feel like, okay, I don't have to do this every night anymore. I can relax a little more and focus on some other things. So yeah, just thank you again for having me up on the panel, and that's just a little bit about me. I'm excited about this opportunity and look forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol. You're very special to me in this fight. And like I said, I'm sorry for your loss of your brother. And that's mainly the reason why I get up every day. I have this fire that burns through me because I don't want any more people having to go through what you're going through. So it's been quite the journey. But thank you for sharing so much. And Haya, did you already tell your story, or before we go to the hands? I know you're like all over the place, busy all day, or probably reading something. So if you can't,
I am. I'm actually pulling up about 7 different themes on artificial intelligence and Judaism right now. So I wanted to share with that later, but go to the hands and we'll talk in a bit.
Got it. Okay, back to you guys. So we'll go. Oh, go ahead. And one thing about the space hosts, what I noticed that we're all like extremely synchronized. Like we all unmute at the same time. We speak at the same time. It's so crazy. Go ahead, Nikki.
I was just gonna say I wasn't paying attention today. So we can just go in alphabetical. We can go in alphabetical order if you want.
The funny thing is that you get everything. Like it's so crazy because you'll get, like I said, the snorkeling stuff where Mace is like the most patient human alive, and I'm over there like janking my hair out with some of the people that are on there. And then you have spaces like mine where you get virtual chanclas thrown at you, and I make people do homework, and I tell people like, hey, if my space doesn't have at least 20 bubble comments, of research, I'm going to, note your name and not let you speak, or so. I don't know. I'm just like, yeah. Anyway, so we'll go to Danny, Denk, and then Stan, who I met earlier today, which was great. Great guy.
Thank you. Well, pretty much the educational black sheep in the family. Got very lucky that I had a lot of family in colleges, masters and bachelors. So I stole their books because I had a highly polymathic mind. So been reading a lot of philosophy with them, also laws, well, mostly Canadian, and also economics. So that was highly interesting, but I had nobody that had an interest in technologies. So I just went in that rabbit hole, self-thought in a way, by reading a lot of papers, and now started, let's say, quantum, sorry about that. Started really being interested in computer science, then went straight to cybersecurity, and then artificial intelligence, machine learning and deep learning algorithms, models, and everything. And it's highly interesting, but it's understandable that right now people have to understand it's right now a tool. Same thing as a hammer. It's the fear what could happen in the long run. But at this moment in time, like for example, ChatGPT, it's just a generative model. It's just you're asking you if you would like to have the right answers, you have to ask the right questions in prompt engineering. And yeah, so I got very lucky in my education in a way because I didn't have to pay. But overall, and also, yes, nutritional health. A lot of people are really into calories. I think right now it's a disinterest. It's not a main priority because I would say gut health would probably be a better priority compared to calorie focusing. But yeah, pretty much. And also, I may have actually a very quick question for GP. I've heard robotics. You were talking about it. So one type of machine learning. What's your likes and dislikes in certain machine learning? if ever in the future, if you would like to answer that question.
Sure. I mean, I don't have particular likes or dislikes. What I have is a difficulty with people using the wrong nomenclature to ascribe qualities to things that they've trained, and confusing definitions of things such as big data and ML with AI, and AI with artificially intelligent, and all of the before with this idea of AGI. You know, training models and multimodality and the ability to have a, you know, people seem to have an insatiable desire to associate intelligence with a physical object in the form of a robot that mimics the human state. And therefore there's this drive toward, and also fear of, this humanoid type of multimodal